There are a lot of things that we are going to talk about today, and I'm going to discuss the latest travel restrictions in the Philippines. Unfortunately, foreign tourists are not yet allowed in the Philippines, and the visa on arrival for foreign tourists are suspended since March of 2020. The Philippines has not announced any reopening date as of this time. There is an important announcement from the Interagency Task Force, and this is regarding the proof of recovery from COVID is now accepted in lieu of 48-hour negative test. However, this requirement is only applicable to Filipinos. So if you are a former Filipino citizen or a foreign national, you cannot present proof of recovery. International arriving Filipino passengers who have recently recovered from COVID but still test positive in the required pre-departure RT-PCR test may be allowed entry. These are the requirements. First, the positive RT-PCR test must be taken within 48 hours prior to departure, and you must have a medical certificate issued by a licensed physician. Must have the completed mandatory isolation, no longer infectious, and has been allowed free movement or travel. And in addition, a positive RT-PCR test taken not earlier than 10 days but not later than 30 days prior to date or time of departure from country or port of origin. This is actually a more restrictive requirement because COVID can stay with you up to 90 days. However, the time period is only not earlier than 10 days, but not later than 30 days before your departure. Let's talk about the quarantine requirements. You shall observe your quarantine applicable to the classification of your country and the vaccination status. But if you are coming from a green lane country, you will observe the quarantine period for yellow list countries for fully vaccinated. And this is actually equivalent to 7 days facility-based quarantine. Let's move over to the eligible passenger requirement. Who are the eligible passengers to the Philippines? There are two kinds. Those who do not require a 9A temporary visitor's visa, and these are Filipinos, former Filipino citizens, also dual citizens. In addition, foreign nationals with valid and existing visas, and there are actually different types of visas, and foreign spouse traveling with Filipino or former Filipino citizen can have the Balikbayan visa. Also, foreign child traveling with Filipino or former Filipino do not need a 9A visa. Another type of eligible passengers to the Philippines are those who need a 9A temporary visitor's visa. Foreign spouse traveling alone, spouse or child must be in Philippines, or foreign child traveling with native foreign parent, Filipino parent must be in Philippines. Also, SRRV or retirees visa applicants must have entry exemption document from DFA, and temporary visitors must secure entry exemption from DFA, and travel is for business, humanitarian, and meritorious cases. For these eligible passengers, you must comply with quarantine and testing requirements. The Interagency Task Force publishes specific countries for green lane purposes or for green lane protocols, and for yellow lane countries, those not included in red list or green countries, they have separate protocols for quarantine, and also for red list there are specific protocols and the countries are specified. You must distinguish the quarantine and testing from the entry requirements. It doesn't mean that if you're fully vaccinated from green lane you can travel. Also, please remember the standard health protocols for all eligible passengers. This is applicable for all eligible passengers from green, yellow, or red countries. There is now a new requirement of a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from country of origin. So let me provide you an example on how to count the hours prior to departure. For example, your flight is 3:48 p.m., February to Las Vegas, and 4 hours of layover. Take your RT-PCR test within 48 hours prior to departure, prior to 3:48 p.m. So this is the window time. For example, you are leaving Las Vegas on 3:48 p.m. February 2, and let's say there is a layover and you are going to San Francisco first, and you will leave San Francisco at 9:30 p.m. and you will arrive in Manila after 15 hours at 4:30 a.m. on February 4. So this is just an example. Another important requirement is that you must register through the One Health Pass within 3 days of arrival in the Philippines. There is an icon. This is the register. If you can see in the screen, this is where you will have to click onto the registration portal. For those required to quarantine in a hotel facility, you must have a confirmed hotel booking. So you need to go to One Health Pass website and find the quarantine facility list. These are the DOT accredited hotels. For those with connecting flights, pre-book your hotel at the first point of entry and not on the final destination. You must also use the Traze Mobile Application for contact tracing. In addition, face shield is optional only in alert levels 1, 2, or 3. And depending on the areas, for alert level 4, face shield is required, and also for alert level 5. There is an important announcement from the Philippine government starting February 16 of 2022 for foreign nationals, including former Filipino citizens. If you are going to be affected by these travel protocols, please share in the comment section below. Foreign nationals allowed to enter the country shall be subject to the following additional protocols. You must be fully vaccinated as a requirement of your entry. Who is considered fully vaccinated? You will be considered fully vaccinated more than or equal to 2 weeks after having received the second dose in a 2-dose series, or more than or equal to 2 weeks after having received a single-dose vaccine. Booster shot is not required, and there is no rule for mixed vaccine. Now here are the vaccines allowed. Emergency Use Authorization List or Compassionate Special Permit issued by the Philippine FDA, or Emergency Use Listing of the World Health Organization. Here are the approved vaccines for use in Philippines. Novavax formulation, Pfizer, also Moderna. Other vaccines are Sputnik, Janssen or Johnson & Johnson, Oxford AstraZeneca, Covaxin, and Sinopharm, and also the Sinovac vaccine from China is also acceptable. Here are the exceptions to proof of full vaccination for foreign nationals. First, children below 18 years of age. Second, those who are medically unable to receive the vaccine as certified by a competent public health authority in the country or port of origin. And third, foreign diplomats and their qualified dependents, such as 9E visa holders. Let's talk about the proof of vaccination for foreign nationals. You can present either one of the following: World Health Organization ICV, or a VaxCert-PH, or a National Digital Certificate of the foreign government which has accepted VaxCert under a reciprocity agreement. Please remember that the proof of vaccination must be from a country with reciprocity, and you must be an eligible passenger to the Philippines. And if you are not allowed passenger, you cannot enter even if the country is listed where proof of vaccination is required or accepted, and more countries will be added every 15 days. If you are going to be affected by these travel protocols and you are slated to fly in the Philippines in the next few days or weeks, please share in the comment section below, and could you please specify what type of passenger are you and what entry documents you were able to present at the immigration for entry purposes. Here are the new green lane countries, and you are entitled to the corresponding quarantine protocols if you have been in these countries in the last 14 days. The first protocol is that you must be in a green lane country in the last 14 days, and your vaccination must be validated. Please take note that there will be no hotel-based quarantine for fully vaccinated coming from green lane countries. This is actually good news for those passengers. However, you must have a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from country of origin. Also, you must self-monitor up to the 7th day of your arrival. For those unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or vaccination cannot be validated, there is actually a facility-based hotel quarantine. The requirement is that you must have a pre-booked hotel for 6 days, and your quarantine will be 5 days. The testing will be on the 5th day of your arrival, and self-monitor up to the 14th day. Here are the updated red list countries. There are new protocols for those coming from red list countries, and you are not considered barred from entering the Philippines anymore. Here are the new red list protocols that are being implemented. You must be in a red list country in the last 14 days, and if you are fully vaccinated, your full vaccination must be validated. Here are the protocols. First, you must have a negative RT-PCR test within 72 hours prior to departure from the country of origin. In addition, you must have a 7 days of hotel quarantine. Your testing will be on the 7th day of your arrival, and home quarantine until the 14th day. There are separate protocols for those coming from red list countries. For those unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or the vaccination cannot be validated. First, you must have a negative RT-PCR test within 48 hours prior to departure from country of origin. Also, you must have a 10 days of hotel quarantine, and your testing will be on the 7th day, and the home quarantine will be done until the 14th day of your arrival. If you have been in other countries not included in the red list or green list, then your country is under the yellow list. And if you are in the yellow list, here are the protocols for quarantine and testing purposes. For fully vaccinated individuals, a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from the country of origin will be required, and upon arrival, they shall undergo facility-based quarantine. You will still need to pre-book your hotel for 6 days, but you will undergo facility-based quarantine with an RT-PCR test taken on the 5th day. Once with a negative result, you may be released for completion of home quarantine up to the 7th day from the date of arrival. It's a protocol for unvaccinated. Individuals who are unvaccinated, partially vaccinated, or whose vaccination status cannot be independently validated, a negative RT-PCR test taken within 48 hours prior to departure from the country of origin will be required, and upon your arrival, you shall undergo facility-based quarantine with an RT-PCR test done on the 7th day, with the date of arrival being the 1st day. Once with a negative result, they may be released for completion of home quarantine up to the 14th day from the date of arrival. Here are the eligible passengers to the Philippines and the immigration entry requirements. Let's talk about who are the only eligible passengers, or those who are allowed to enter the Philippines. You needed to present your proof of Filipino citizenship, such as a Philippine passport. However, there are Filipinos whose passport has been lost, damaged, or expired. There is actually a relief or a remedy, so Filipinos without Philippine passport can travel to the Philippines by obtaining a travel document from Philippine Consulate abroad for emergency use. Please remember that this travel document is only allowed for applicants who cannot be issued a Philippine passport and have an emergency travel to the Philippines, such as due to medical or legal reasons or death in the family. This is only a one-time use travel document, and it's only good for 30 days from its issuance. So this is only a one-way ticket to the Philippines, and if you needed a Philippine passport, you must apply once you arrive in the Philippines. Another set of passengers are dual citizens. Dual citizens are Filipinos who have acquired a foreign citizenship and at the same time reacquired Filipino citizenship. You actually have two options. If you don't have your Philippine passport, you can present your dual citizenship documents. Another type of passengers are former Filipinos. These are Filipinos who have been naturalized in a foreign country. That means that your Filipino citizenship is renounced upon foreign naturalization. In addition, former Filipinos in possession of Philippine passport becomes void because you are no longer a Filipino. Another important information to remember is that former Filipinos can still travel to the Philippines through the Balikbayan visa. If you are a former Filipino and you still have a valid Philippine passport, does that make you a dual citizen? The answer is no. Former Filipinos who are in possession of an expired or valid Philippine passport after becoming a foreign citizen does not make you a dual citizen. Please remember this. There is actually a special privilege granted to former Filipinos. Former Filipinos can travel to the Philippines through the Balikbayan visa program, and you can avail this visa upon arrival in the Philippines. In addition, Balikbayan visa is free and you must proceed to Filipino lane upon arrival at the immigration. You need to ask immigration that you will be availing of Balikbayan visa. Also, in addition, you will be granted Balikbayan visa, which is valid for 1 year upon arrival in the Philippines. Now, former Filipinos can travel alone or with family members such as a spouse or children. Now, if a former Filipino will be traveling together with foreign spouse or foreign children, both spouse or children can avail of Balikbayan visa and stay in Philippines visa-free for 1 year. The foreign spouse or foreign children traveling together with former Filipino must have a return or onward ticket. Also, foreign spouse or children must have a valid passport for at least 6 months and beyond. Now, here are the immigration entry requirements for former Filipinos. Your foreign passport plus your Philippine passport, old or valid, or your foreign passport and authentic birth certificate. For former Filipinos or Filipinos traveling with their foreign spouse, the foreign spouse must present their foreign passport plus authentic marriage certificate. If traveling with a foreign child, foreign passport plus authentic birth certificate. For adopted child, foreign passport plus adoption certificate. Visa-free privileges for foreign nationals married to Filipino or former Filipino traveling together under EO 408. Also, you must present an authentic marriage certificate. Also, report of marriage is not required to enter in the Philippines. In addition, proceed to Filipino lane at immigration and tell immigration you will be availing of the Balikbayan visa. Now, let me provide you the immigration entry requirements for traveling couples. First, you must present authentic marriage certificate. Second, passport must be valid for 6 months and beyond for non-Filipinos. And third, return or onward ticket is not required for Filipinos or former Filipinos, but check with the airline for requirements. Those who are admitted as balikbayans are given an initial stay of 1 year. They may extend their stay for another 1, 2, or 6 months provided that they present their valid passport and filled out the visa extension form and submitted to the visa extension section in the Bureau of Immigration main office or any Bureau of Immigration offices nationwide. So one additional requirement will be asked for balikbayans who have stayed in the Philippines after 36 months or 3 years. Effective December 24 of 2021, a Filipino and foreign spouse, which means a native foreign spouse with same-sex marriage, shall be temporarily admitted. Now, let me provide you the law or the rules for gay or lesbian couples married abroad, and one of them is either a Filipino or former Filipino. Under the Family Code of the Philippines, Article 26, all marriages solemnized outside the Philippines in accordance with the laws in force in the country where they were solemnized and valid there as such shall also be valid in the country or in the Philippines except those prohibited under Articles 35 or 36, 37, and 38. Now, let's talk about another set of eligible passengers. Foreign spouse not traveling with Filipino spouse. And I mean these are native foreign spouse, not former Filipinos. You must have a 9A visa from a Philippine consulate and your passport must be valid for at least 6 months and beyond. You must also have a return or onward ticket. In addition, the Filipino spouse must be in the Philippines at the time of your intended travel. Now, what are the immigration requirements for a foreign spouse? First, you must present an authentic marriage certificate. The immigration will not accept copies or fake documents. Now, let's talk about native foreign parent with Filipino child in Philippines. First, you must have a valid 9A visa, and second, passport must be valid for at least 6 months and beyond. And third, you must have a return or onward ticket. In addition, the Filipino child must be in the Philippines at the time of your intended travel. Now, what are the entry requirements for foreign parent with Filipino child in the Philippines? First, you must have an authentic birth certificate of the child to prove filiation. Otherwise, you will not be allowed entry. Always present authentic or original documents to the immigration. The foreign nationals who are allowed to travel, but you must have a valid and existing visa. First, Special Resident Retirees Visa or holders of SRRV visa. The SRRV visa can be applied at the Philippines under the Philippine Retirement Authority. Other set of foreign nationals allowed are holders of Philippine immigrant visas, holders of a 13A, 13B, 13C, 13D, 13E, and 13G visas. Other set of foreign nationals allowed are accredited foreign government and international organization officials and their dependents. Another set of passengers are foreign airline crew members. Also, please take note that the Philippine government sets the rules regarding the requirements on pre-booking a hotel for quarantine purposes. Now, in compliance with Philippine regulations, only one person is allowed per room except for the following: families from the same household traveling together, especially those with minors. Also, those health and emergency frontline services personnel are also exempted from this rule. Another set of passengers are those guests requiring a companion, such as minor children or children below 18 years of age, or persons needing assistance, such as senior citizens, those who have disabilities, and those who have medical illnesses or conditions. Now, if you think you are qualified in any of these exemptions, you will be asked to sign a waiver when you quarantine in a hotel. Now, there are also other requirements when pre-booking a hotel, and this is the most important. First, the hotel must be accredited or must be in the list of hotels allowed by the Department of Tourism or by the Bureau of Quarantine, and these are the only acceptable hotels. Now, where to find the most up-to-date accredited hotels in the Philippines? You needed to go to onehealthpass.com.ph. Any other questions or comments, please post them down below and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you guys for supporting my channel, and if you haven't liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit that notification bell. I always welcome new subscribers. Thank you guys for watching. I hope everyone is staying safe and have a great day.